People would find that very strange, that you had gotten into trouble, you went to trial, you went to prison, and there's a Netflix deal around your story?
I find it strange too.
So are you sort of milking your crime for the fame?
No, definitely not.
Do you feel badly? Do you have regrets?
I feel like I'm just trying to deal with consequences of my actions. I was young. I would not repeat my actions. I'm just trying to make the best out of my situation.
All right, Chase, what do you got?
So right at the beginning, she says, I find it strange too. And I think this is Anna's social brain at work. If many people have an idea, I need to have that same idea as well. This interviewer uses a lot of people find it strange, so Anna magically adapts the exact same feeling as those people. So there's a social thing going on here. But listen to this bizarre upward tone in all the interviewers' questions. It's a pretty unusual, something I've never seen before. And when she's saying, I want to deal with the consequences of my action, this is followed by a prolonged status check. And what I mean by that, she's staring at the interviewer in order to see if her magic words had an effect on the other person. She says, I was young, and this is another reason. So we're starting to hear her little psychological reasons for why she behaved a certain way. And she was forced into making criminal decisions. It's not her fault. She believes she did what everybody else would do and what rich people have done. She believes her actions are common and understandable. She's highly socially driven, so far what we've learned. And this is a lever that you can use against a person in an interrogation or anywhere else. She now sees youth or being young as a reasonable excuse for criminal behavior, or at least her own youth. And when she's stressed out, she defaults to social behavior of assimilating beliefs and the thoughts of people around her. And this is likely how she was able to blend in. This skill set is the likely reason she was able to blend in so well to so many social circles in New York City. We'll dig a little bit deeper on the next one. Mark, what do you think?
Yeah, so I think the interviewer is fishing here for around a specific question for a specific answer. I think the interviewer here is looking to see whether this person has empathy or remorse, because I think the interviewer is fishing for an idea of a psychopath. So she says, do you feel badly? Do you have regrets? Okay, and I think what the interviewer wants to hear is, no, I don't have any regrets at all. I don't feel bad at all. Yeah, I think that would make the interviewer's day, because that would be a really good story for that interviewer. What happens instead, and again, the editing is choppy on this, so I'm kind of gambling a little bit on this to an extent. Click after that question around this, and Anna says, do you feel, she mirrors it and says, I feel I'm just trying to deal with the consequences. Or that entirely gives her the answer that she's
Mark,
looking
you're
for.
freezing, man.
Yeah.
We're trying to keep a straight face, but you're freezing.
Man, it's some great expressions too, which we'll go over later toward the end.
It's not freezing. You guys aren't freezing on me.
Yeah, you are on our end. You were in the middle of something.
You're good now.
Go back, or will
You're
it
good.
hold?
Back to normal.
No, you're good. Yeah,
All
you're
right.
good.
All right.
Just keep going.
I'm sure everybody got the genius that was expounded there. Yeah.
Brilliance is clean.
We wanted to stop you because you had great points and you need.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So the sound wasn't cutting out.
No,
Yeah,
it did.
it
It
was.
froze. Everything froze.
Yeah.
It would get in the middle of a point and break and skip the
Oh, okay. So I don't need to go back. It's all right.
Nah, you're good.
All right, great. Okay. So look, end of point here. I think this is an area where you could look for, do we have a psychopath here? I would also challenge people to look at, do we have the daughter of a working class Russian here? Because culture will matter here. And some of what we're seeing in the front that she puts up, the lack of affect and emotion, certainly I have experienced, and I know others have experienced, with people just like her, people in the US who are from that background. I'm seeing something which I've seen often, a lack of emotion, which isn't to do with a lack of internal emotion, it's to do with the front that you have to put up if you come from her background. Same kind of front that you would even put up if you'd gone to Rikers. You might even say, no, did nothing. I was fine in that. In English terms, we'd call it something like northern grit. Like you've seen enough harshness that you wouldn't show that anything affects you. Now, it could be that, or it could be something else. Chase, what do you got on this one?
Already went.
Oh, Scott, what do you got on this one?
All right. When she's asked about her fame and the Netflix deal, that's when she straightens up and she gets that little postural bump there, and she's all about, we're going to see it again later, said all about how the notoriety of it. She rides on that to make it look like what she's done is okay at that point. So it makes her feel like, yeah, I was right. Look, everybody says, shoot, I got a Netflix deal. I got some money coming in, man. Everything's good. Everything's cool. So that makes her feel like everything was okay. She was good doing that. And she seems unaffected by that jab that she's given her at that point. So I can see why you're saying that about emotions as well, Mark. But keep in mind, when you're dealing with a con, quite often they're psychopaths because they don't care who they con. They don't care what they take, and they don't care who they take it from. It doesn't matter if it's a little child, an old person, somebody who's sick, somebody who really needs that money. Like you see on these phone scams all the time, these people who are little old people, and they've been saving money their whole life, and these people just take it from them. They doesn't bother them in the least. So they always, quite often, not always, but quite often they are psychopaths as far as that goes. Now, one thing you can do with a situation like this, as this girl, like all cons, they try to be the person you want them to be. And she can't quite get in to figure this out and still can't mimic this interviewer at this point. So what you want to do when you go into, and you guys know this, when you go into to interview someone, especially if they're thought to be a con or something like that, you want to keep an eye out for them starting to mimic you, right? But if you see a shot where you can get in there and start mimicking them first, then you're clean. And I told these guys about this story the other day. I went into an interview the other day, and this person was they were under the impression she had taken some things she shouldn't have, and it ended up she did. And I went in, and the first thing out of her mouth was, because she's trying to connect with me. I at the first I thought, well, she's trying to connect with me, but I saw she was really interested in this person. She says to me, I walk in and she goes, "You know Kurt Metzger." Kurt Metzger is a comedian. I've been on his podcast a few times. And she said, and I said, "What?" She said, "You know Kurt Metzger and Kyle Dunnigan," because Kyle's another show that I do every now and then. And I said, "Yeah." I said, "You know what? That's so weird." I said, "You're into Kurt?" And she said, "Yes." I said, "His wife or his girlfriend has a purse just like that, just like yours." And so from right that moment on, I had to jump on her to start mimicking her and start being me connecting with her. And we just talked for a few minutes. And then I got that part where she kept trying to mimic me, but I was mimicking her. So she was sort of mimicking herself. And it was this really odd thing for a few minutes, but then it straightened out and I got all the information I needed after a while. But that's, in this case, this girl, Anna, can't get a handle on how to mimic this woman because her facial expressions are this anger, confusion, and ridicule almost. So I think she's got a problem there trying to do that. And that's another reason, Mark, we're seeing her kind of freeze up emotionally at that point. Greg, what do you got?
Yeah, I'm not sure she's trying to mimic. I think what she's really good at is flirtation, and flirtation is not mimicry. It's closing space. For a minute, forget the sexual connotation to flirtation and think about it as the way we close space. Think about a child on a plane, 10 rows back, looking at you and closing space. I think that's her talent. And once she closes that space, she shows you what value she has. And Chase, you talk about her fitting in New York, but a lot of her fit in wasn't. It was holding up an image that was just out of reach of average people and drawing them to her. It's a magical trick. If you can stand up and you can create that space, you can close that space with flirtation and you draw the person to you. That's what she's doing. Watch her face. Watch what she does with her face. And I love that disbelief is what that sound that the interviewer is making, Chase. She's Seinfeld. You ever notice? Yeah. She's doing that in this thing. She has disbelief and she's got a painfully wrenched face. This woman doesn't even pretend to get it. She's not paying attention. When she says, I couldn't believe it, or I find it strange, watch her chin go up and that smile and her head back. That's pride. Yeah, I find it strange too. That's the one time she tries to close space with her and then it doesn't happen. She's tofu. Wherever she's been, she's picked up a flavor and she uses the words, with the consequences of my actions. Wonder where she heard that. Probably the court system or a therapist or someone else. Then she makes too much eye contact. She does that flirt thing, and then she does kind of an embedded confession trying to make the best of my situation, which is, I think, how she got to where she is. This is just more of the same. And then my other favorite, Mark, you caught it in the last one when she asked for approval at Reed. When she says, I would not repeat it, her brow rises again. I'm starting to see a pattern. When she raises her brow is when I think that she's telling something that's not true. I think this is a place where she's never fit in, and she's just figured out, since I'm an outsider, I'll take advantage of it. That accent doesn't fit anywhere in the world. People all said, where'd the accent come from? She doesn't sound like a Russian. She doesn't sound like a German. Doesn't sound like an American, because she's mixed all of those things to create a new persona. That's what I see.
Many people would find that very strange, that you had gotten into trouble, you went to trial, you went to prison, and there's a Netflix deal around your story?
I find it strange too.
So are you sort of milking your crime for the fame?
No, definitely not.
Do you feel badly? Do you have regrets?
I feel like I'm just trying to deal with consequences of my actions. I was young. I would not repeat my actions. I'm just trying to make the best out of my situation.
If you like this video, get the full body language breakdown and analysis on our main channel by clicking this video right here.